Story appears ordinary till you see the core side of it.
And what you're looking for is the story behind the news.
We bring it to you from Lagos, the commercial capital of Nigeria.
Giving you all sides and political stories round the clock.
Every detail from the start line to the final whistle.
CoreTV News, expanding your view.
Have been watching the live coverage of the collation of results from Abuja live there. Thank you for joining us on CoreTV Primetime News. I am Frank Omalape. Our top stories tonight. The Independent National Electoral Commission continues collation of the results of the presidential elections at the National Collation Center in Abuja. Also in this program, the All Progressive Congress has decorated its national headquarters in anticipation of the announcement of its presidential flag bearer, Muhammadu Buhari, as winner of presidential elections. And the National Vice Chairman of the People's Democratic Party, Uche Secondus, calls for the cancellation of the presidential and National Assembly elections in 6 PDP-controlled states and Kano. Outside Nigeria, negotiators in the Swiss city of Lausanne are making a final push to ensure the success of nuclear talks between Iran and the group of 6 world powers on its nuclear program. Thank you for joining us tonight. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has started the process of collation of the presidential election with the announcement of result from 8 states and the FCT. Announcing the result in Abuja, the individual returning officer of the state have been on Cape Forward to announce the result of the election from their state. The results were immediately entered on the collation board at the center. Now, early indications from the first set of official results from the National Collation Center in Abuja are pointing to a tight presidential race. Ruling People's Democratic Party, after result from 8 states and the FCT, the ruling People's Democratic Party holds a slight lead with 2,178,000 for the All Progressive Congress. In addition, APC candidate Muhammadu Buhari has so far secured 25% of votes in 8 out of 9, while President Goodluck Jonathan has the required 25% in all the declared states. Representatives of the 2 major parties at the Coalition Center are satisfied with the ongoing process but expressed concern over the number of cancelled votes in some states.
Well, the coalition has started, and we have gotten 8 states and the Federal Capital Territory. That's quite a far cry from the 36 states we have in this country. But we have started, and the chairman said 8 o'clock, about 10 states will be ready. Let's hope that by 8 o'clock we get the 10 states, and from there we'll gradually be going on till we get to the last state, and then the final result will be seen.
With this one, are you satisfied?
Well, it's a process that started. So far, so good. We're okay with what they are doing now. Well, what we have received so far tallies with what we got from our field officers from the various states that have been announced.
Your thoughts on the number of invalid and cancelled votes? They seem to be on the high side.
Yes, and but the reasons that have been given also are reasonably genuine, overvoting, and then fighting disruptions, smashing of ballot boxes. These are things we've been talking about, and I think they are reasonably valid issues that were raised before the cancellation. my take is simple, that cancellation, you see, the appropriate authorities at the various levels, they have been given such powers. And what is important is, one, to ensure that whatever powers that are exercised are within the ambit of law, because the whole process is guided by law. And when I say law, the Constitution being the supreme thing, the supreme law, then Electoral Act, which in itself emanates from the Constitution, and of course regulations of INEC, as an election management body. So for as long as whatever action taken is within the ambit of this law, then it's okay. That's number one. Number two is that, don't forget, you will recall that the chairman of the Electoral Commission, Independent Electoral Commission himself, Professor Tahiru Jega, did say that, he will believe that for as long as all the parties concerned were present, and were in agreement to that decision.
On our website www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
And welcome to CoreTV Primetime News.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. On Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click CoreTV, leave a space, then news. CoreTV News, a 24-hour news station.
Thank you for being there on CoreTV Primetime News. As the Independent National Electoral Commission begins final collation of results, the Presidential Campaign Office of the All Progressive Congress is wearing a new look. The two-story complex has been decorated in anticipation of the announcement of the party's candidate, Muhammad Buhari, as a winner of the presidential election. The officials are confident of a resounding victory and already in a celebration mode. Spokesman for the APC presidential team, Garba Shehu, also told CoreTV News that PDP claimed a victory in 23 states without INEC's authority is one that warrants an arrest.
Nigerians are giving General Buhari a landslide. Decorations are on. It's reflecting the mood of the nation, not just the mood within the campaign office.
And now the Transition Monitoring Group says the logistic problems noticed in Saturday's presidential and National Assembly election did not affect the credibility of the process. It therefore wants the Independent National Electoral Commission to remain steadfast in its efforts to ensure the integrity of the election. The group, however, urged the electoral management body to develop an appropriate and dependable solution for the 40 card readers.
The card reader should be retained but improved upon. It is one system that we find very okay, because the area where it worked, it worked to the satisfaction of everybody, both the political party, the electorates, and including polling officials. So for us, we need to advance on the card reader.
And now Nigeria Civil Society Situation Room has expressed concerns over reports of attempts in several states of the country to undermine the integrity of the collation of votes and outcome of the presidential and National Assembly election. This, according to the Civil Society Coalition, is because of allegations that security operatives have been used to fiddle with collation process before results get to the National Collation Center in Abuja. The Situation Room urged the Independent National Electoral Commission to ensure that results that are announced reflect the true outcome of the votes cast by the Nigerian people. It also called on the international community to support the Nigerian people in defense of their right to democratically elect their leaders without political subversion by politicians. And our National Vice Chairman of the People's Democratic Party, Uche Secondos, has demanded the cancellation of the Presidential National Assembly election in 7 states due to what he described as gross irregularities in the elections. Uche Secondos will list the alleged infractions in the state to include underage voting and midnight voting. Says the elections were marred by other forms of violation. The PDP National Vice Chairman, who was speaking at a press conference in Abuja, listed the state as Kano, Jigawa, Kaduna, Bauchi, Gombe, Katsina, and Kogi. Surprisingly, the states listed by the PDP chieftain are all PDP-controlled states except Kano. And now the People's Democratic Party insists that its candidate Goodluck Jonathan is leading in the presidential elections by at least 2 million votes. It maintains that it will resist all attempt to manipulate the outcome of the process. Spokesman for the party's presidential campaign organization, Femi Fani-Kalde, disclosed this at a press conference in Abuja. He argued that the PDP got the result from its situation room and figures collated from various polling units, wards, local government areas, and states in the federation. Fani-Kalde further assured that President Goodluck Jonathan remains confident of winning a second term in office.
From each and every one of the polling units, from each and every one of the local government areas, and from each and every one of the states, but we will also come up, with a final figure showing how many votes our candidate got. And we've been doing that religiously and dutifully. And we will continue to do that to the very end. And I want to say, again, I want to re-emphasize this, that an attempt to announce any result that is not in absolute conformity with the will of the Nigerian people in this election, and that is based on collusion and propaganda of the opposition, who are already declaring they have won, will not be acceptable to us, and will be disputed, and will be firmly resisted. It's very important that each and every one of those that are stakeholders in this process understand and accept this. We will not sit by and allow ourselves to be robbed simply because some people believe that it is their right and their duty to take power through means of propaganda and lies and deceit. So we are very clear about what's going on.
And now the All Progressive Congress has said it delayed in releasing the results of last weekend's election in Southeast, and the South gives room for concern against the background of the results that are streaming in from other parts of the country. In a statement issued in Lagos on Monday by its National Publicity Secretary Lai Mohammed, the party said apart from Rivers and Akwa Ibom, where everyone knows that the situation is, there has been nothing but silence from the remaining states as far as the results are concerned. It said many concerned Nigerians have called the party to express their concern over the delay and to share their concerns on whether something sinister is behind the palpable silence. The party described as very curious the fact that the card readers largely functioned well in other parts of the country, except in the Southeast and the South, wondering whether this was a mere coincidence. APC warned and renewed its earlier warning that no one should circumvent the will of the people for whatever reason, and that only the authentic result of the elections will be acceptable to Nigerians. The party appealed to its concerned members and supporters to be calm and to continue to eschew violence, assuring that in the end, the will of the good people of Nigeria, which they have freely expressed by turning out in large numbers to exercise their franchise, will prevail. And now the Ogun State APC has outrightly rejected the outcome of the National Assembly result in the federal constituencies at a senatorial district. A correspondent to Olajumoke Olatuji was at a press conference organized by the campaign group. And now reports.
Barely 24 hours after the announcement of the presidential and National Assembly election results, the Ogun State chapter of the All Progressives Congress has outrightly rejected the outcome of the election in 2 federal constituencies and a senatorial district. The 2 federal constituencies are Remo North, Ikenne, Shagamu federal constituencies won by PDP, and Ogun Waterside, Ijebu East, Ijebu North federal constituencies. The party says that the election was marred by gross irregularities.
The APC hereby categorically states that last Saturday election in the Ogun Senatorial District was marked by gross irregularities, inducements, and intimidation of voters, manipulation and falsification of the results. The results were announced by the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, do not reflect the wishes of our people in Ogoye Senatorial District.
The Deputy DG of the APC campaign organization, BC Adegoye, says that the party is determined to challenge the results of the Ogoye Senatorial District won by Buruji Kashamo and is ready to produce evidence.
Reflect predetermined, manipulated, and fictitious figures forged by rigging machinery of the PDP, People's Democratic Party that is, led by senatorial candidate Mr. Buruji Kashamo. The APC is determined to challenge results of the Ogoye senatorial elections and the 2 House of Representatives seats within the confines of the law. We have incontrovertible evidence of the manipulation that took place and the roles played by certain individuals.
With this early rejection by the party in less than 24 hours, it is only clear that more of this is yet to come. Olajumoke Olatojo, CoreTV News, Abeokuta.
And just before we move in, news reaching us says that the African Independent Television owner, Raymond, Dr. says his life is under threat. We'll bring you more details in our subsequent bulletins. From that now, the All Progressive Congress presidential candidate Muhammadu Buhari has been announced the winner of the presidential poll in Oyo State, following an extensive collation of votes from all 33 local governments in the state. APC got a landslide win over 27 local government areas, while PDP made claim of the remaining 6 local government areas. The state collation officer, Ayobami Salami, declared the total number of valid votes cast as 881,352 votes for Buhari, which polled about 528,620 to defeat President Jonathan of the People's Democratic Party, who got 303,376 votes.
Voters are credited for this election 1,073,849. Once again, 1,073,849 voters were accredited for the presidential election in Oyo State. And at the end of the exercise, the total number of votes polled by each of the parties is as follows. First, Action Alliance polled 6,331 votes. Action Alliance, 6,331 votes. ACPA, 8,979 votes. ACPA, 8,979 votes. AD, 6,282 votes. AD, 6,282 votes. ADC, 5,000 votes. ADC, 5,000 votes. APA, 4,460 votes. Total votes cast, 920,606. This result was duly signed by the...
You have it now. We now joined, of course, our correspondent from Abuja, live on phone now, Dakpo Kubanjo, to speak to us on INEC a decision to probe into the Rivers State result. Hello, Dakpo. Hello? Hello, Dakpo. Hello? but we lost him again. I will have to join him when he is available. As Nigerians wait to hear the final declaration for the 2015 presidential elections, the Imo State Police Command, in a press release, said it was aware of the fact that some political parties has intentions to disrupt the peace of the state if the result does not favor them. The press release signed by the force PRO stated that they were very much ready for whoever will participate in such unlawful act. Meanwhile, the soldiers have taken over most areas that might likely be a starting point of such violence. However, in Imo State, it appears that APC members are not happy with the election's result, claiming many of them were disenfranchised from voting. Imo State INEC, on the other hand, said the election so far is credible enough, and as such, nothing should disturb the collation process. So far, 3 casualties have been recorded as a result of electoral violence. Like in Imo State, the driver hired to help convey sensitive materials was ambushed and killed by armed thugs along with 2 other INEC officials. And now the Independent National Electoral Commission in Edo has officially announced the result of the presidential election which took place over the weekend. Faradai Orunwese, the Vice Chancellor of the University of Benin, who is the state returning officer, announced the result at the Commission office in Benin. The report.
In the result released, the People's Democratic Party (PDP) defeated the All Progressives Congress (APC) with a difference of 7,840 votes. The PDP had an overall score of 28,686 against that of the APC, which had 20,864. After the announcement, a score sheet was later handed to the party agents and the police representative. Both the PDP and APC party agents later embraced. Speaking on the successful outcome of the election, the PDP party agent Osage Izeyamo, who spoke to newsmen, commended the exercise and the maturity of all the parties, and the APC scribe Osaro Ida, however, declined to speak to the press.
We want to thank God for making it possible. We want to thank all our party members and a lot of our people, too numerous to mention, from traditional rulers to religious leaders to market women, youths, professionals, people in the union. They all came out to vote. I also must say too that the vote would have been a lot more than this, but the hiccups that were experienced by the use of the card reader greatly reduced the number, because in some places, because the card reader did not function very well, they had to more or less abandon the process. And some people got frustrated and they left, But all the same, we are quite pleased.
Edo State Residential Electoral Commissioner Mike Igini, however, promises that all lapses witnessed in the weekend's elections will be corrected subsequently.
As a people, as a nation, we must have something to build on. Democracy is a journey. We believe that the challenges some envisaged and planned for, others that were not envisaged, are part of the learning process, because the challenge and indeed the ill of democracy or elections can only be cured by more elections.
Meanwhile, a chieftain of the PDP who spoke to newsmen said the victory for the party is a reflection that PDP has come to stay in the state.
Certainly we are improving, and people will now know that PDP has come to stay in Edo State. Actually, Edo State is primarily a PDP state. We knew what happened in the past. PDP is coming back on board to take over what belongs to them. So that's what you expect.
With this result, the die is now cast for the final announcement of the complete result by Atahiru Jega.
And our Deputy Senate President Ike Kwemadu of the People's Democratic Party has been declared the winner of the Enugu West senatorial seat with 120,075 out of the 123,286 valid vote cast in the district. His closest challenger, Luisa Chieze of the All Progressive Congress APC, polled 2,314 votes. The result, which was announced at Anglo Collation Center by the Independent National Electoral Commission, appointed returning officer for the senatorial contest, Professor Fab Ona. In his acceptance speech, Senator Kwemadu described his victory as a renewal of a political covenant with his people. The APC candidate has congratulated Kwemadu on his victory. Now, the presidential and National Assembly election in Kwara State goes all in favor of the APC. Now, the Independent National Electoral Commission in Kwara State announcing the result had Muhammad Buhari winning the presidential poll, while the senator representing Kwara Senatorial or Central, Bukola Saraki, got return ticket. The incumbent Speaker of Kwara House of Assembly, Razak Atunwa, also won House of Rep seat.
Number of registered voters 1,181,032. Number of accredited voters 489,360. Parties score as follows: APC 302,146, 302,146. PDP 132,602. Total votes cast 461,401. 461,401. I will invite the agents of the parties present.
Now, the Inspector General of Police, Sulaiman Abba, has ordered an investigation into the invasion of a federal high court sitting in Yenagoa, Bayelsa State. Yet to be identified persons. The attack disrupted a court process and 2 female lawyers were assaulted. Police spokesman Emmanuel Ojukwu said in his statement that the Commissioner of Police in the state has been ordered to fish out the perpetrators and bring them to justice. He assured Nigerians that the police are committed to providing a safe and secure environment for the dispensation of justice. An 22-year-old suspected internet fraudster Dumi or Siami, also known as Larry, is in custody of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. The commission said he was trailed following a tip-off about a suspicious flamboyant lifestyle and thereafter allegedly offered a 6,900,000 naira bribe to the EFCC operatives so he could be left off the hook. At the time of his arrest, a 2011 C350 Mercedes-Benz car and a Toyota Venza from a 4-bedroom bungalow which is suspected to belong to him. The FCC said the suspect who claimed to be a Yahoo boy confessed to have dumped a Deep One Stephanie, an American lady of $75,000 with which he acquired some of the seized properties. And I will take another break now. I'll be back with more stories. Do join us again.
From time immemorial, women have birthed life, shaped character, and by extension, influenced the society. Moremi of Ife and Motan of Benin, Queen Aminat of Zaria, all women of influence and power.
Whether it's before election, after election.
How ironical. Women being so powerful, yet have few grounds in decision making.
They see you as a wife, and I see you as a wife to a man.
We are talking women in politics.
A woman will be bold enough to stand up and say, I want to become president of Nigeria.
Only on CoreTV News.
And now in business tonight, a report released by the Nigerian Stock Exchange has shown that Nigeria's foreign portfolio investment outflows increased by 59.75% in the month of February. According to the report, monthly transactions at the nation's bus, which was 99.11 billion naira at the end of January 2015, increased to 133.95 billion naira at the end of February 2015, which was up to 35.15% from January 2015. Domestic investors conceded about 45.22% of trading to foreign investors as domestic transactions decreased from 47.76 to 27.39%, while transactions increased from 52.24 to 72.61 over the same period. In comparison to the same period in 2014, total foreign investment transactions decreased by 1.71%, while the total domestic transactions decreased by 19.03%. The FPI outflows outpaced inflows, which was consistent with the same period in 2014. According to NSE, foreign inflows on the bus between January and November 2014 totaled 621.3 billion naira, up from 498.9 billion naira in the same period of 2013, suggesting that investor interest in the Nigerian equity market remains strong. And now the equity market on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange ended on a positive note today as the all-share index appreciates by 1.73% to close at 31,082.48 basis points. Again, market capitalization increased to close at 10.49 trillion naira. In all, a total volume of 196.25 billion units of shares valued at 1.8 billion naira were exchanged in 3,638 deals. Mobile oil chopped again as charged to close at 156 naira 95 kobo, with 9 naira price difference, followed by Chuchu, Dangote Cement, Nestle, and Unilever. On the flip side, 40 oil topped the charts to trail by Cadbury, Nigerian Breweries, Guinness, and Pharmadeco. Meanwhile, First Bank Nigerian Holdings topped the traders chart, trailed by United Bank for Africa, Diamond Bank, Transcorp, and Guaranty Trust Bank. And to wrap up the stock market report, here is the currency trades. Oh, we apologize, we can't bring you that currency trade. But away from that now to sports now. The Nigerian Football Federation has instructed the Football Association of the 36 states and the FCT to comply with a directive to stage their State Federation Cup final matches this weekend. Already, the playoff round of this year's Federation Cup competitions has been fixed for April 18 and 19, while the draw for the national finals will hold in Abuja on April 30th. The grand finale of this year's competitions will take place on August 16. Now, the Nigerian Under-23 team will now take on Zambia Under-23 in their final round second leg qualifying game for the 11th All-Africa Games at the Heroes National Stadium in Lusaka. The match was earlier scheduled for the Levi Mwanawasa Stadium in Ndola. The Heroes National Stadium is a 60,000-seater that was completed in 2014 with loan from China. The winner of the features will qualify for the men's football tournament of the 11th All-Africa Games coming up in Congo, Brazzaville from September 3 to 18. And now Tiger Woods has dropped out of the world's top 100 golfers for the first time in his career. The 14-time major winner will first move into the top 100 in 1996 and then spent a cumulative record of 683 weeks as world number one has dropped to 104. The 39-year-old American has not played since withdrawing from the Farmers Insurance Open on 6 February. Woods has said he is hopeful of a return for the first major of the year, the Masters starting on April 9. We'll be back with more stories after this short break. Do join us again.
Now watch CoreTV News live from anywhere in the world on our website www.coretvnews.com. click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
And welcome to CoreTV Primetime Days.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. On Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click CoreTV, leave a space, then news. CoreTV News, a 24-hour news station.
And outside Nigeria now, the foreign ministers of Iran unseated what passed meant on Monday in a final push for a preliminary nuclear accord less than 2 days before their deadline, as Tehran showed signs of backing away from previous compromise offers. For days, Iran, the United States, Britain, France, Germany, Russia and China have been holding negotiations to break an impasse in negotiations aimed at stopping Tehran having the capacity to develop a nuclear bomb in exchange for an easing of international sanctions that are crippling its economy. In addition to U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry, Iranian Foreign Minister Mohammad Javad Zarif, and STEMA, British Foreign Secretary Philip Hammond, French Foreign Minister Laurent Fabius, Russia's Sergei Lavrov, and China's Wang Yi gathered to end the deadlock in the talks. Officials close to the talks say even if Iran and the six parts reach a framework agreement by the end March deadline, it will be very preliminary and could still fall apart. You've been watching the CoreTV Primetime News tonight. Just before we go, a recap of our top stories. We told you that the Independent National Electoral Commission continues collation of the result of the presidential elections at the National Collation Center in Abuja. We also brought to you that the All Progressive Congress has decorated its national headquarters in anticipation of the announcement of its presidential flag bearer Muhammadu Buhari as winner of the presidential elections. And now, the National Vice Chairman of the People's Democratic Party, Uche Secondus, calls for the cancellation of the presidential and National Assembly elections in 6 PDP-controlled states and Kano. Well, it has been the show tonight. On behalf of the entire news crew, I am Frank Omalape, and shortly from now we will be joining a live collation in Abuja by the INEC Independent Electoral Commission. Enjoy.